afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your patience. This is the third and last session. I will try to keep it as quick as possible. There's a time in front of me, so I'll try to not talk too much. Oftentimes, I'm the one talking on the stage, but I'm very excited to have three amazing panelists who will be talking to us about mobilizing capital to the continent. So, the session will explore Africa's shift to being seen as a destination for aid to a frontier for profitable, scalable investments. And as you may or may not know, my entire work is to help mobilize capital to the continent. So the discussion will focus on how foreign and diaspora capital can be mobilized into African startups, growth stage businesses, climate businesses, what makes it venture investable, and how trust, compliance, and modern regulatory bridges can reduce cross-border friction. Before I get into it, I think it's really important for you all to know my panelists. And I will start with you, Pauline, to introduce yourself briefly and then pass it over to Lisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mafrida, and everyone for having us and creating this platform, which really, as Africans, the Friends of Africa, join hands, strategize about how do we build the Africa we want. My name is Pauline Kerber. I'm the founder and managing partner of She Equity. She Equity is a gender-lens fund backing scalable, sustainable venture that are gender smart. By gender smart, we mean women owner-led, women benefiting businesses, or gender diverse team. What's unique about our operations is our strategy that is blended finance strategy, where we combine a technical assistance facility that is philanthropic backed to de-risk, build a pipeline, but also support company assess their eligibility towards carbon markets, combined with the private capital. So we do this because we know on the continent, it's not just about chasing the best company, it's about seeing the potential and putting tools in place to get those potential move towards scalable businesses. And I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Sekaja. Lisa, you can call me Lisa. I am the president of the Chamber of Commerce Swiss Uganda, which promotes business and investment between Uganda and Switzerland. I'm also the president of Phenomenal Women Global, an organization based here in Switzerland and Uganda that promotes and advances leadership in women. And we have had several conferences in the continent as well as in Switzerland. I'm an international human rights lawyer by training, working with an international organization in Switzerland. But I'm also a pineapple farmer, and I'll talk about that later as we discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Tiffany Sampson, and I'm the founder and CEO of Sudani Group, a global management and development consulting firm working at the intersection of health, education, agriculture, and technology, partnering with multilateral donors and funders to support governments across 12 countries to raise funding and also drive development advancement within those countries. The work we do, I don't want to go too much in because I'm looking at the time, so I would pause. Thank you. I think along the line I'll say more.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Lisa, I want to start with you. As the leader of the Switzerland Africa Chamber of Commerce, you see at the intersection of government, SMEs, investors, and of course the Chamber of Commerce. Like from your experience building trade flows between Switzerland and Uganda, I want to ask, what do you think really helps unlock private capital scale?
From my short experience as the Chamber President, first of all, in November 14th, we did a market-focused Uganda, and this was at the Geneva Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And this was a very important and strategic event because we were able to highlight the key investment areas in Uganda. And I have a little book here I can share with you. And doing this ignited some interest from Swiss investors. As you know, the Geneva Chamber of Commerce has over 3,000 members. So by doing this market focus, having our ambassador there, and having some Ugandan businesses also there to explain some of the key investment opportunities, this created us an impact. Why do I say that? There were interest. We followed up with those SMEs and businesses interested. We presented and introduced them to authorities and businesses on the ground, and we have a trade mission going to happen in February. Prior to that, our country business opportunities were not so visible to the Swiss market. So we have a lot in our country. We have gold, we have cement, we have uranium, we have petrol, billions of barrels that we're building a pipeline that will connect to Tanzania, and oil will be provided. We have so much. We have agriculture, we have infrastructure. Many people didn't know that. And we have our tourism industry that is starting to boom. We have more animals than the rest of the countries here. The gorillas from Rwanda come into Uganda. I mean, from Uganda go to visit Rwanda, but they're Ugandan gorillas. And this is one of our income-generating activities as well, because we charge foreigners for the license to go in. We have thousands of people coming in, but we don't market it as well as Rwanda. So my position right now is to put Uganda on the tourism map here in Switzerland and Europe, do it very well together with our counterparts, and to make sure that investment comes in. So we are going down to Uganda, and we have a potential investment portfolio of about 30 million Swiss francs that will go into Uganda as a result of the projects that we were discussing. So in a nutshell, visibility is important. Use your experience and your role in whatever you're doing to promote Africa. And I did that in front of thousands of investors in Geneva. Whether or not they invest or not, we'll see, but they will invest some money because we are discussing in advance. But just to flip it back, why should we ask for money? You know?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
No, we will definitely get to that. Why should we ask for money? So you're helping organize the investors back, the founders back home. But Pauline, I wanted to ask you, what makes these businesses investable from an investor lens, and what do they need to do to take money from investors like yourself?
Thank you very much. From investor lens, and I would speak from share REIT perspective, because also you have different type of investors with different investment thesis. From our perspective, we're looking for discipline and the founders who are working hard to execute. So basically, discipline combined with execution. And eventually, there are a few specific ingredients that we need to see. One is, and I smile because this is very specific to Africa. Most of the time, I meet entrepreneurs who call themselves social entrepreneurs, and they lead by telling a good story, like we're saving lives, it's really nice. And at some point, they sound like a non-profit. And I've been like provocative, asking people like, okay, is this non-profit? What about the business case? And then that's when they come to the business case. And I think it's really important whether you're a social entrepreneur, lead with being an entrepreneur. So what that means, show the unit economics, show that you understand the market, show that you understand the potential for scaling. Because that attracts investors. Because we know deep inside, most of the African entrepreneurs, they become entrepreneurs to solve a problem.
Yes.
So it's really inherited that, it's straightforward that almost every founder in Africa will have a nice story. So you start with the numbers. how you're good in solving the problem you're solving, how you understand the markets, and then you wrap it up with a nice story. So lead with that part, not the story. And the second part is really around the governance. I meet founders who say, hey, we're really working with this, but this is how we do it. And you ask them who decides when, how do you make decisions? Like, yeah, I'm the sole founder, and we don't have the money to have a board, it's expensive. And then I tell them, you don't need to have a board that you pay. You can't have an advisory board that you really set up a system like a proper board. If you can't manage to set up proper governance, board of directors, just because of also the cost and stuff, but at least show me that you can't just wake up one day and decide to close a company and no one challenges you, right? So you combine the governance and the execution, and the last one is really showing the scale. I think it's big. You might be solving an issue around whether the gorilla Rwandans or Ugandans. That was really touching because I'm from Rwanda, so we can take it that way. But whatever problem you have been trying to solve, think it big. So zoom in, say, hey, I'm solving this, but look around the continent and they see the potential to scale. Because that's also influences the investor who want to back you. Like we back local big businesses, but our value addition is to help you get to other markets. So if I don't see the scale, I'm not interested.
Thank you. I'm sure you all can see me taking frantic notes. 3 points I'm taking from yours is discipline, governance, and scale. And I did not take notes about the Rwandan or the Ugandan story. Sydney, I promise I didn't forget you. I promise. The work that you do is very exciting because you essentially help turn development markets into commercial markets. I read your bio, which was very inspiring. You deployed a lot of capital, over $1 billion, in funding across multiple sectors, health, education, and infra. From what we've heard so far, what lessons from structuring these donors and government programs can investors and also founders can borrow from essentially doing work on the continent? Especially, again, maybe we can touch on like risk, governance to tie into the conversation.
Thank you. So what I wanted to say sort of resonates very well with Pauline's comment around governance and all, but before I start in that way, I just want to put a disclaimer: we don't have gorillas moving across borders, and also I think we are free from that problem. But when we talk about what we can learn from development partners and donors who have put in millions and billions of dollars to support work across different countries, and we've been privileged to support different countries from Nigeria to Sierra Leone to Nepal, and a long list of them, to structure resource mobilization efforts that were successful. What I can say for private side of things is, beyond just looking at the governance perspective, which I really like in terms of, before we talk about growth, look at governance. You want people to grow, do they have the systems that would carry that growth? But beyond governance, within the corporate part of all, it's and very important alignment with extant policies. And a lot of times that is ignored from the private sector angle and all. The idea looks fine, there's a compelling story, and sometimes you get the numbers right, with a bunch of assumptions and models behind them. But how well have you scrutinized the policy environment to allow that business to thrive or to even exist? And what have you also put in place as mitigants against the kind of issues and risks that exist within the African market? And in the African market, we have very peculiar risks. Government instability, in a number of places, insecurity, disruptions, lack of infrastructure and things. So how have you really looked at all of those and the challenges that will come from there, and how the business has considered those risks? But especially, in addition to what she said, is that the policies and how the business is structured to exist within the existing policy framework in those countries. That's one part. The second part I would like to also highlight is beyond, look at the commercial risk, which they look at a lot, but the structural risk for the organization, and which ties again to governance in a way. How is the founder, how is the corporate entity looking at its structure? So when you say dream big in terms of what you want to achieve, your vision and all, but what is your vision around your structure? A lot of times people don't ask that. My vision is I want to hit 1 million sales, I want to get into this market, I want to do all of this. But what then is your vision around the structure for that your organization you're building to carry all of that? And a key part I'd like to take examples from myself and the work we've been able to do is how we build the foundation that is carrying the growth that we're having today. People come to our office and say, you have this beautiful office complex. It looks like nothing in Nigeria because you have this fancy like Google-like things, a lounge, crash for mothers, fancy things in the building. And I say, well, if we really want to be global and add value globally, it has to start from our people here. So I care a lot about the people, and I like to say we don't spare costs in establishing the foundation. So if you're building a skyscraper, you go very deep. So how are you deepening that, and what is the founder's vision around the foundation? Because if you don't ask these questions, they will grow so fast sometimes, and everything will crumble because there was nothing. So those are the parts, and I want to pause there.
Yeah, I want to take the mic from you because I'm looking at the time. And I want to make sure that I bring one topic that I think it's very important for the entire panel, which is gender lens investing. Pauline, you look at Euro equity, and a lot of people see gender lens investing as a charity, or concessionary, which we all believe is not the case. Based on your portfolio experience, where have you seen gender-focused strategies actually outperform? And which sectors, if you have any, that could maybe shed a bit more light? And I'm going to guide you towards a sector which is probably climate, because we had a very long conversation about climate as we were discussing this. And also, please, both of you, if you feel free to jump in if you have any points on this.
Thank you. Let me start by highlighting the fact that gender lens investing, it's not really focusing on the impact at the expense of financial return. That's not what gender lens investing. Actually, gender lens investing is a performance strategy. So research have shown that women-led and women-owned businesses, they lead to about at least 2 multiple comparing to business owned and led by only men. And in terms of gender diverse teams, they show that the financial return is somewhere between 20 to 30%. This is a research that is out there. So basically, when you back women-owned and led business who are good founders, who can execute, we have a discipline, we have a good governance, they understand the business they're building, you have a high probability to have higher return than anyone. And then the second, everyone's talking about impact. We know climate is an issue. We know food security is an issue. We know people need energy. Guess what? Female founders become founders usually to solve a problem. Most of the time, the problem they experience themselves. So when you design for yourself, it's not like you're trying to find a market inefficiency. You know the inefficiency because you live them. Then if you are the founder who's actually going to deploy the product, the services you're putting on the table, it's clear that you're going to design better. And the second, specifically on the African continent, we all know like women represent more than 50% of the continent, but also women make the decision of what gets consumed in household. So you're building to solve a problem you face, but actually also building understanding who's going to buy from you, who's going to make decisions. So at the end, it's a no-brainer that if we want to change many of the discussion we're having on the ground, go from discussion to actions, we need to back female founders gender diversity team that's solving exactly the issue we're discussing. And then the climate is dear to my heart because we all know that the future of Africa depends not just about who we back, but what we back. We can't afford to be backing businesses that are going to go and drive more emissions on the continent, right? And then there's also an opportunity on the table that linked to carbon markets. So gender-lens funders, investors like myself, we're addressing a big gap, which is a 42 billion gender funding gap. And guess what? There is a 50 billion carbon market there. So founders are leaving this money on the table. So if we can actually build a mechanism, meaning we're not investing as usual, we're not your Silicon Valley type of VC investors, we put too many places to unlock the barrier to access this money. We can actually accelerate the closing of the gender funding gap while we're building green. And guess what? Because I know we are diverse here, we don't just have Africans here. When Africa builds green, we all benefit. So invest in Africa, invest in the female founders, because when you do, you benefit where you are. Whether you are in Switzerland, you're going to have more snow so you can ski, right? As I know, one of the discussions, the concerns Swiss people have, because Africa holds most of what we call the land of the world. So if we cut the trees and you consume like Americans, then the comfort we have here won't happen. And then you make money while doing that.
Thank you. And I know she gave me some of the stats, but she wouldn't give me all of them. So selfishly, I wanted to get off the stats on this stage. Lisa, I want to come back to you, and I want to stay on the topic of female, supporting more female founders. You've been a big advocate of supporting women on a global stage. I would love for you to tell me two things. You did something recently, if you want to touch on it. And also, I want you to tell me about Behind the Leaf. Yeah.
So yes, first and foremost, I'm a very, very, very ardent promoter of women's rights and empowering women, especially women of African descent. So just before Davos, we organized a pre-Davos business brunch. This was under the auspices of the Chamber of Commerce Swiss Uganda, but since I'm also the chair and president of the Phenomenal Women Global, we had a gender panel. And this is really to sensitize and give global visibility to women, especially women of African descent, in these spaces. And I'm very proud of what is being done here by the two ladies here who have really, Mafreda and her business partner, who have really opened a door for the African women. I think we just need to give them a round of applause right now. And why this is important and why our event was important is because we were able to give a preliminary view to the women of the Davos speakers. So we had a lot of women and men who were going to speak in Davos on AI, on financing and everything, and also just to discuss which roles you should be in. I mean, this doesn't happen. So with the organization that I run, Phenomenal Women Global, we have a leadership conference every year in Geneva, every year in Uganda, and every year in Boston, where we have focal points. Why? Because we want to build more women leaders and give them those soft skills like speaking in public, negotiating deals in a male-dominated space. Yesterday I was sitting in Nigeria House speaking on a panel, and there were two men from the Ministry, I think, of Finance, Trade, and I was the only woman. But before, say 5 years ago, I would have been like freaking out. But because of the skills I've built in this network, they've really helped me. And I also want to share that with the world and share that with other women. When you open a door for a woman, when you go up, you open a door for another woman. And that's what we're doing there. But with regards to Pinna Leaf, like I said in my introduction, I'm also a pineapple farmer. So how does this come in? With the pineapple waste, we are looking at turning this waste into products such as vegan leather and soap. And in doing this production, we are looking at, sustainably using the waste that comes from pineapple, whether it's the peels or the leaves. And in this way, on my farm, 51% of the workers are women. on the factory that we collaborate with, because we're in a pineapple ecosystem where the pineapples go to the factory, they are dried, and after they are dried, they go to Austria. So within the factory, it's all women. And I think it is very important to just say we are in a really advantageous space as Africa, because our demographic advantage is there, that we have a very young population of youth, and the majority of whom are women. So we need to skill these women, we need to build them, and we need to build processes that support them. Davos is a very important area that is untapped. A lot of women, even though they live in Geneva, don't know about it. They think you have to be in the West. But for me, it has helped me get several things. And if you read my bio, I met somebody here in Davos, I think 2 years ago. I was invited to pitch my pineapple project. There were 10 people, and I won the grant. All because of networking, and all because of somebody gave me space. So if we open a door like you're doing now, use it strategically. I'm happy you designed this platform. Use it strategically to help our people. Thank you.
Wow. Just in case you didn't realize, this is a promotion of Invest in Africa. Just in case. I mean, all the projects that we talked about require capital. You need private capital, you need concessional capital like grant funding. Last question, but please give it to me like 90 seconds. Say I promise. Thank you. The question is, how can private capital partner with public or donor capital without killing commercial disciplines? The reason I'm asking is you do a lot of work in that consultancy space, and I think that ultimately commercial viability matters. But how can they work together, PPP, so that we can essentially move the continent forward? 90 seconds, go.
I'll try to do it in less.
Okay, good.
I think they have different roles, and the way I see it is the donor capital and all comes in one package. You have the government side of things, and then you have the private sector side of things, and they play different roles. I would say from the donor side, the work they do, because of the kind of money they bring, would focus on de-risking areas where private capital wouldn't want to go to, and all. And the government part, of course, would focus on the more infrastructural, basic things that would allow systems to run on them, while the private equity would focus on the how would I put it now, the part where those other two wouldn't want to play, because they are focused on commerce and they want discipline, they want the numbers, the profit, and all of that. So if they focus on that side while they partnered with donors to de-risk a lot of the other components, then I think there can be an alignment there. You gave me very short time, so I won't say more. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we literally have 1 minute, and I have one question for the entire panel. So if you can answer in 30 seconds. Sorry, we played like time game. 30 seconds. If you could change one thing that would unlock 10 times more capital into Africa over the next 5 years, what would it be?
For me, it's very simple. Like one thing I didn't share is what we're building is a pathway to building a 1 billion fund linked to carbon markets. So it's really working with the government to align the sector that can move the continent forward, and make sure that gender diversity and the women lead African green transformation.
For me, it's changing the way we manage our natural resources, because we know that Africa is natural resource rich. We have lots of gold, oil, everything. If we put that together, we'll be richer than Europe, really. But we manage it very well. Just ending with a quote from the former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson: "Protecting our natural resources in an investment, in investment of our people and our future is the most important thing that we can do."
2 things that I'll change. One, energy and education. And I like the question on education earlier. One, we have a huge energy deficit, and to get to where we need to be, a lot of investment needs to go into energy and making it available everywhere, down to that village in the middle of nowhere. And two is education. Also ensure that our people are empowered with the right capacity to think and thrive. Thank you.
All right, so did you enjoy that?
Yes.
I can't hear it.
Yes.
All right, so please give your hands together for my lady.